So, I just binged watched all of Sex Education and I have a lot of thoughts, particularly on season 3. So, let's talk about that. Cal was such a nothing character. Cal is completely disconnected from everyone else in the cast, except for Jackson, but Jackson has also been disconnected from everyone else in the cast, because Jackson hasn't had anything to do with anyone else in the cast since season 1. Cal could have been interesting, but they don't do anything with them. All Cal does is sit in the corner and show up 5 minutes per episode and remind everyone that they're non-binary. They try to give Cal stuff to do, but they just don't give them enough, and all of Cal's storylines are so underdeveloped and undercooked that it probably would have been better if Cal just wasn't in the season at all. The main problem is that 1, Cal doesn't have a personality, and 2, all of their storylines barely get any screen time. Having a non-binary character could have been interesting, going into the struggles they'll have to deal with, but they don't do that. They try to give Cal stuff to do, but there's just not enough screen time for it to matter, so it probably would have been better if it was just cut out of the episode entirely. And, like I have already mentioned, Cal also has no personality. Do you want to know who's a good non-binary character? Rain Whispers from the Owl House. They're a fan favorite, not because they're non-binary, but because they actually have an interesting personality. And that's why everyone loves them. Cal doesn't have a personality because they don't get the screen time to have one. You could literally cut Cal out from the entire season and nothing would change except for Jackson not having any love interest. But I don't think that's something people would really care about. Now let's move on to Ruby, who is easily the best part of the season. Ruby gets a lot of character development I honestly did not see coming, and she becomes really likable, and her relationship with Otis is surprisingly natural, and it's really good. The problem with Ruby is that we already know her and Otis aren't going to work out because the show wants Otis and Maeve to get together. Even though it's kinda sad that Ruby and Otis are only together for 4 episodes, and those 4 episodes are way more memorable than what Otis and Maeve has had for the past 3 seasons. Also, for the first 4 episodes of season 3, it felt like Ruby had been upgraded from a side character to a main character, as like I said before, she got all this character development, and we started learning a lot about her home life, and she had her own story going on. But then at the end of episode 4, her and Otis break up, and then she doesn't do anything for the rest of the season, and her story just completely disappears, even though it was the most interesting part of the season. Ola and Adam only interact once, despite the fact they're supposed to be friends, just something I wanted to throw in there because it annoys me. This is the first season with a main antagonist. I mean, I guess Adam was technically an antagonist in season 1, but he was really just a bully, and that's all he was. And then in season 2, I don't think there really was an antagonist. I might be wrong. I binge-watched the show in like the span of a few days. My brain is kind of dead. Anyway, the main antagonist of this season is Hope, the new principal. Honestly, Hope is a really good villain, and you feel her presence every time she's on screen, which is something you always want a villain to do. My only problem with Hope is that sometimes she feels way too cartoony, like she literally locks Cal in her room at one point, publicly humiliates some of her students in front of everyone, and literally fights Ruby, and it never comes up again. I don't live in the UK, but I don't think those things are legal. I actually thought the season was going to end with Hope getting arrested, but she never faces any legal action. Hope also has an entire storyline about her not being able to get pregnant, which does make you feel some sympathy towards her, but the problem is that it's only really brought up 2 times, one in the season finale and the other time I don't even remember what episode it was in, but it honestly doesn't matter, so we're just gonna move past that. Eric decides to cheat on Adam for a reason I'm still not 100% sure of. Eric doesn't even feel guilty about it, he just cheats on Adam, and he's kind of guilty, I guess, but also not at the same time. And I thought Eric was supposed to be the only sensible character in the cast, but they just turned him into a dick. I don't know why he even cheated on Adam. I guess Adam just wasn't, gay enough for him? I don't know. Now it's time I get into this season's biggest sin. Otis and Maeve's relationship. Otis and Maeve have had a will they won't they thing going on for the past 2 seasons, and it kept going on into this one. I was hoping, praying that this season would finally put an end to it. But nope, it's still going on, even at the end of the season, and it's infuriating. The problem is you can only have so much build up to a relationship happening. I will they won't they thing can work for a little while, but it's been going on for 3 seasons. It's getting old, people are losing interest. We just want them together. And in fact, Otis and Ruby made a way better couple, and they were only together for 4 episodes. This season should have just made Otis and Ruby become a couple the entire time, and stay a couple, and then have Otis and Maeve just become friends again, because their whole will they won't they thing is getting old as hell, and I'm sick of it. I don't know if you've noticed this, but a lot of the things I'm mentioning in this video sounds pretty negative for the most part, and that's because, well, the things I'm saying are negative. But that's not to say the season is necessarily terrible, because it does have its good moments, but the season takes so many missteps to the point where it's just sad. Cal should have been given a personality and had more screen time, and should have been more than just Jackson's love interest. Otis and Maeve's will they won't they thing should have been settled this season once and for all. And Hope, well, we should have gotten more to know about her, because outside of not being able to get pregnant, we don't know that much about her. There's honestly even more I could have said about how this season falters, but I really don't feel like it. So how about we talk about something that the season does really well? Amy's storyline in Season 2 was easily the best part of that season, and I'm happy to say that it continues in this season. I'm really glad Amy just doesn't get over her sexual assault from last season, acting like it never happened. We see her slowly try to get over her trauma, and it's pretty well done. Although I'm not entirely sure why she decides to break up with Steve, because Steve was always really good to her and was patient with her. So I'm not 100% sure why she decided to break up with him, but it doesn't really matter. Sex Education Season 3 is a 5 out of 10 stars for me. It has too many missteps, and the good parts aren't enough to save it. But it's not complete trash either. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. I really hope Season 4 is an improvement, and I also hope Season 4 is going to be the last season. At the time I'm recording this, we don't know if Season 4 is going to be the last season, but I'm praying that it is. The story has been dragged out way too much, and it needs to end. I'm hoping the show can stick the landing, but I guess we're gonna have to wait and see.